YouTube? It's Eric. In this video, guys, I'm gonna be if you're new to my channel, guys, I've recently been covering the Roman control system. This video, guys, is gonna be going into my philosophy playlist. If you've been watching my channel for a while, if you've seen some of my other videos on the occult and philosophy, this is gonna go into that playlist, guys. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the Kundalini energy system that runs up the spinal cord. Okay, guys, I'm gonna be breaking down the chakras too. Yeah, I'm gonna be reading, guys, from this book here from Manly P. Hall. It's called Man, the Grand Symbol of the Mysteries. Okay, guys, you see here, I'm gonna be reading um, chapter, what is this? My Roman numerals. Chapter 14, guys. Kundalini and the sympathetic nervous system right here. Here's a great, I'm gonna pull up a diagram on the computers for you guys to watch, but here's a great image here, guys. So you see the Kundalini system. Okay, this is the Ida, the Pingala, the Shushashuma. These are the 7 chakras. Okay, guys. If you count the number of petals on these chakras, guys, there's 144,000 petals. Okay, the crown chakra, guys, has 1,000. Okay, but I'm gonna be reading you from this book. Okay, let's see here. Share. Okay, actually, guys, another important nerve, guys, in this whole system is the cranial nerve 10, the vagus nerve, guys. Vagus nerve runs from the heart up to the brain. Okay, and I'm gonna do a future video, guys. I'm gonna show you George Carey's research on the vagus nerve. Okay, but guys, here's the chakra hermetic caduceus symbol here, guys. If you notice, this hermetic caduceus, guys, is on all over on medical buildings, on veterinary buildings. You'll see it all over. But I'm gonna break down the occult significance of this hermetic caduceus symbol. Okay, guys. Um, okay, so starting here, guys. The sympathetic nervous system, the sole ganglia of the ancients, is a series of ganglia connected by intervening cords and extends on each side of the vertebral column of the skull above the coccyx below. Quote, this is from H.P. Blavatsky. The sympathetic cords take their rise from a sacred spot above the medulla oblongata, called the tridena by the Hindus. From the same spot starts the Ida and Pingala, an upper junction of the sympathetic and cerebral spinal axis thus being formed. Okay, the sympathetic nervous system consists of 3 great gangulated plexuses or aggregations of nerves, and the ganglia, the cardiac, the solar, and hypogastric, which are situated in front of the spine in the thoracic, abdominal, and pelvic cavities, respectively. There are also smaller ganglia, in all to the number of 24, which correspond very nearly in number to the vertebrae against which they lie. At the lower end, the 2 cords of the sympathetic system converge as they enter the pelvis, and uniting form a single ganglion which in front of the coccyx. Quote, the sympathetic system is connected with the linga shariya, the prana, and the kama more than the manas. It is played on the tantrikas who call it Shiva's veena, or lute, or Kali's vine, and is used in hatha yoga. It is most important plexus, the solar plexus, guys, which is the brain of the stomach. Okay, guys, the solar plexus is the 3rd chakra right here. Okay, guys, and the psychophysical germ seed, guys, originates or gets the spark of life is in the solar plexus. Okay, guys, every 29.5 days when your sun sign is in your moon sign, and that seed, guys, is the seed that rises up the sushumna tube. Okay, guys, all the way up to the pineal. But continuing. Um, so psychic clairvoyant perceptions often act at this region, as in reading letters, psychometrizing substances, etc. Okay, in the Arupanishad, guys, which is one of the Upanishads, are described the important plexuses along the sympathetic cords, along which are called chakras or wheels of force. The chakras are all actually within the physical body, but have not been found by the dissection because the forms ascribed to them by the Oriental occultists are largely symbolic. Disciples of the higher mysteries have been warned from the beginning not to attempt the development of these centers according to Hatha Yoga. They are all but parts of the illusional universe. In reality, no more exist than any other part of the bodily state. In this brief work, no attempt will be made to give a detailed analysis of the yoga and tantric theories, since between the various Oriental professors of these doctrines, there are unbridgeable gulfs of opinion. Probably the most authentic works available on the subject in English are from the pen of Sir John Woodruff. Some pandits assist that the chakras are along the spine, others that they are in the brain only. Again, some say that the Ida and Pingala, guys, which are the Ida here where my mouse is, and the Pingala. Okay, on the Hermetic Caduceus, guys, this is the Ida, this is the Pingala. Okay, we're continuing. Some say the guys that Ida and Pingala are within the spinal cord. Others say that the right and left sympathetic cords. Okay, others say that the Ida and Pingala guys are the right and left sympathetic cords. According to some guys, the Kundalini rises in the Sushumna, which is the sixth ventricle, while others maintain that it moves through the pneumogastric nerve. Okay, guys, and this is the pneumogastric nerve right here. Okay, guys, also known as the vagus nerve. Okay, so some people think, guys, the Kundalini energy rises through this nerve right here. Okay. Okay, but back to here the diagram. Nor have the different schools themselves come to any complete agreement regarding the number of chakras, some recognizing 5, others 6, and others 7, particularly with respect to those located in the brain. The hazy analogies to the organs identified by modern science only leave the present confusion where confused. Accompanying this chapter is a drawing of the 7 spinal chakras. Okay, actually, I'll show you here, guys. I'll put, try to find a more detailed diagram here. Here, guys, images. Okay. And also, guys, notice how this is just guys. Jesus Christ, guys, dies at 33 years old. King David, guys, ruled. Okay, guys, for 33 years in the Bible. Okay, and that's because there's 33 vertebrae in the spinal cord. Okay, but continuing. Okay, so in the picture is the symbolic form of the chakras has been carefully preserved. Special emphasis has been placed upon the correct number of petals. In this secret teachings, to each of these petals is assigned a letter of the Sanskrit alphabet. The yogi is apparently suspended in the air for the power of sight, which would enable one to see the chakras, will take no cognizance of the physical earth upon which he is sitting. The plate, of course, is diagrammatic and must not be considered too literally. Study carefully the flower-like centers upon the spinal column. Through the center of the 7 flowers passes the tube Sushumna, on the left of which is the tube called Ida, and the right tube called Pingala. Okay, so guys, that's describing here what I just said. This is the Hermetic Caduceus. Okay, right here. Oh, let me find. Okay, guys, but the 2 tubes, guys, I just described are the Ida Pingala, guys. You go to Hermetic Caduceus. I'm just spelling it. Oh, right here. Hey guys, the Hermetic Caduceus, guys, those 2 tubes, guys, are the Ida and the Pungala. Okay, and the wings, guys, here symbolize the immortality and the eternity of like the human soul and the Atman spirit. Okay, guys, this eye up here, guys, can be symbolized as the pineal gland and the optic thalamus, and this tube here, guys, the Shushishuma, can be viewed as the spinal cord or like the 6th ventricle. Okay, continuing. Okay, the Ida guys, which is pleasant like the moon, said, and Pingala guys, which is pleasant like the sun, cross at the base of the skull and both rise out of their 4-petaled lotus at the base of the spine. The Ida, Sushumna, and Pingala together are the chief of the nadis. The Sushumna is effulgent like the sun, moon, and fire, being the most important of the 3. Okay, guys, the Sushumna is the center column here. Okay, just notice how too in Kabbalah, guys, the central pillar is the most important pillar. Okay, we're continuing. Um, okay, guys. In the ordinary individual, the tube of the Sushumna is closed, but by the yoga, it is open so that there is a direct connection between the sacral plexus at the base of the spine and the pineal gland in the head. Ida and Pingala are described as playing along the curved wall of the cord containing Sushumna. They are semi-material, positive and negative. They have distinct paths of their own, otherwise they would radiate all over the body. By concentration on Ida and Pingala is generated the sacred fire. Hatha Yoga says that the Ida and Pingala act alternately, but if you stop both of these, the hot current is forced through the Sushumna along, also without having to do with the Ida and Pingala. By practicing Kabuka alone, the Sushumna comes into play, but a Raja Yoga without using either of these methods has a way of rousing the Kundalini. This means the Raja Yoga employed belongs to the mysteries of initiation. Continuing. To paraphrase native writers, that nadi, which takes its origin from the shashara, which is the brain in Sanskrit, okay, and which growing finaler descends as the central canal of the spinal column, is called the Sushumna. There's a very delightful place where the mouth of the Brahma nerve emits nectar. Okay, as this place is at the junction of the frontal lobe with the temporal lobe of the cerebral hemispheres, and is the mouth of the Sushumna nerve. You guys know it in Sanskrit as Bharata Kanta. 9 sets of smaller nadis first spring from it and spread towards the eyes and other organs of sense. Afterwards, from between the vertebrae of the spinal column stretch out 32 other sets of nadis with their innumerable branchlets, which are distributed throughout the body like a network, producing the sense of touch and performing other necessary work requisite for the maintenance of the physical body. Okay, these nadis are so fine in their texture that if 400 of them be collected and tied together, they cannot be seen by the naked eye. Though so fine, they are like pipes and hollow. In this place, there exists a certain substance like oil, you guys, which the Chaitriya, which is in Sanskrit for pure intelligence, reflects. For this reason, the rishis called the Shashuma the parent of all these smaller nadis, the Jana nadi, and consider it to be just like a tree with its innumerable branches covering the whole of the human body. And guys, if you look at the vagus nerve, guys, the vagus nerve, what is known, you guys, in the anatomy and physiological Kabbalah, the vagus nerve, guys, is the tree of life in the human body. The vagus nerve, guys, connects like the brain to the heart, you guys, to the lungs, okay, all over. Check out diagrams of the vagus nerve. Okay, but continuing. Um, all outward objects which are cognized by the human senses are reflected in the Sushumna nadi. Therefore, the rishis call this body, quote, the microcosm. For instance, when you see the sun, moon, or stars, you do not actually go near them in order to see, but you see them because they are reflected in your Sushumna nadi. Thus, it is evident that various nadis sprung from the Sushumna, the receptacle of the inner soul of all jivas. Okay, guys, and jiva in Sanskrit is means like monad or like the eternal spirit. Okay, in the extent in all directions throughout the physical body, this system then is considered as a huge reverse tree. Tata Janas alone are able to walk on every branch of this tree by the help of Prana Mavu. Okay, that's from an article, Zoroastrian article on the sun worship. In this human body, there exists 72,000 nadis with sufficient space for entrance into them by the Vavu, which is the yogis alone become acquainted with the true nature of these nadis by virtue of their yogi karma. Having closed up the 9 portals of the body and being acquainted with the source and nature of the nadis that stretch up down the seats of several organs of sense, the jiva, rising to the state of superior knowledge with the aid of the life breath, attains moksha. Okay, guys, and moksha is essentially the same concept as nirvana in Buddhism. Okay, guys, and actually, I'll show you a picture here of Kundalini. Okay, okay, here you go. Here's a great picture here, guys. Kundalini is a Sanskrit word meaning a serpentine or twisting force or gas. According to the Tantric disciples, this force can be drawn up through the central spinal canal, guys, which is the Sushumna. You see, guys, the Sushumna in this diagram is the central spinal canal running all the way through. You guys, all the chakras are connected to the canal. Um, when Kundalini is sent, guys, when Kundalini strikes the brain, it stimulates or opens the spiritual centers of consciousness, thereby consummating the yogi's labors towards self-mastery and illumination. Kundalini, also sometimes called the astral serpent, is described as a power or energy in the Muladhara. Okay, guys, the Muladhara chakra, guys, is the very bottom chakra. But I'm going to continue. It has its head in the region of the navel. It is called a serpent-like because it has this strange curving motion. It appears to move around and around in a circle. The Ida and Pingala alternate on account of its motion as Kundalini ascends. It enters into one spinal chakra after another and incorporates itself the qualities of these chakras, mastering upon them, resulting in a certain definite extensions of power and sense perception. Upon completing the ascent, it is absorbed into its own essence, all the qualitative states throughout which it has passed, so that the chakras appear as, quote, united into one current, like beads upon a thread or knots upon a sacred cord. Okay, Sheba means 7 in Hebrew, and one writer has asked the question, does not the queen of Sheba represent the Kundalini, the serpent queen of the 7 chakras? The magicians of Egypt turned their rods into serpents before Pharaoh, and Moses threw down his rod. Also, but it was transformed into a great serpent which swallowed up all the little serpents. Here is a most vivid account of the function of Kundalini. The serpents are countless nadis. The great serpent is the spinal fire herself, who is victorious over all the functions of the sensory nerves. Um, sorry, just got a call there. So that it's scarcely an exaggeration to say that she devours them. Kundalini is the brazen serpent of Moses. Okay, I'll show you here, guys, a verse from the Bible. Okay, Moses, brazen serpent. Okay, so you guys, this is a reference here, guys, in the Bible to the Kundalini. Okay, you go down here. And Moses made a serpent of brass and put it upon a pole. Okay, guys, notice Moses put the serpent of brass upon a pole, guys. The Shushuma tube. Okay, and it came to pass that if the serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. Okay, guys, when you behold the Kundalini energy, guys, and you begin to transcend it and transmute it in your body, and the Kundalini begins to rise, guys, you begin to live in the spirit of life, or the spirit of Christ comes into you. Okay, but continuing. Um, Okay, guys, so here, Kundalini is the brazen serpent of Moses, which he raised upon the Tau cross in the wilderness, and those who looked upon it did not die from the stings of the little serpents. The yogi would interpret this to signify that those who would contemplate the mystery of this chief malady would escape from the death-dealing string of the senses. One writer has suggested that the hypothetical 11th Sephiroth, Dath, placed in the midst of the Sephirotic tree, was the Kabbalistic symbol of Kundalini, but it is not more probable that Shekinah signified this fire. Where is the way to the tree of life? Asks the Zohar, and answers its own question thus, quote, the great Metrina, also known Shekinah, she is the great way to the great tree, the mighty tree of life. What is the tree of life unless it be the spinal column itself? That the Kabbalists recognize Shekinah to be some form of electrical force is evidence from their statement from the sparks of her are purple. Kundri and Parasfal also reminisce of the Kundalini, and like this serpent goddess is dressed in the skins of snakes. It is said that the Logos, when the time came to create the material universe, entered into a state of deep meditation, centralizing his thought power upon the seven like centers of the seven worlds. Gradually, his life force descended from the brain, which was the greatest superior world, and striking these flowers one after another, gave birth to the lower worlds. When at last his great spirit fire struck the lowest center, the physical world was created, and his flame was at the base of the world's spine. When the world returns to him again, he once more becomes supreme in consciousness. It will be because he withdraws the life from these seven centers, beginning with the lowest, and returns it again to the brain. It is necessary follows that the path of evolution for all living things is to raise this fire, whose descent made every manifestation in the lower world possible, and whose raising brings them into harmony once more with the superior creation. Okay, at the very base of the spine, there is a very tiny nerve center concerning which is little known by science. The occultist has learned, however, that it contains the mystery of the second crucifixion, which is supposed to have taken place in Egypt, and which has reference to the crossing of certain nerves of the base of the spine. The sacred rattlesnake of Mexico, the feathered snake of Kulka or Quetzalcoatl. Here, guys, I'll show you here Quetzalcoatl, okay, who is a god in the Maya. Okay, but Quetzalcoatl, guys, is another. Here, guys, this is a reference to the spinal fire. Okay, it's the winged serpent. Okay, so you guys, the winged serpent, Quetzalcoatl, right here. Okay, continuing. Um, and is again the serpent, guys. So Quetzalcoatl again, guys, is the serpent spinal fire, and in this respect, the rattles, which are carefully reproduced in the carvings of the snake, become the vital significance. Kundalini is coiled in the sacral plexus. Okay, guys, so I'll show you here the sacral plexus. Okay, so this is where the Kundalini is coiled up. Okay, guys, in these sacral plexus nerves right here. Okay. And you guys, the sacral plexus chakra is located in the sacral plexus chakra, which is the third chakra. Okay, going back right here. Okay. Um, you guys, the Kundalini is coiled in the sacral plexus, where it rests upon a triangular bone at the end of the sacrum. This triangular bone is shown as an inverted triangle in the Muladhara. Okay. And guys, the Muladhara chakra right here, guys, has an inverted triangle on it. Okay, it's a reference to the sacral bone. Okay. Here, guys, Kundalini remains coiled until through certain exercises she is exercised through the rise of Sushuma to the brain, where she awakens the activities of the third eye, the pineal gland. This third eye is the link connecting man with the spiritual world, or to be more correct, with the higher spiritual nature of himself. The anthropomorphs or overman, which never descends into incarnation, which was called by the Greeks the Cyclop, which is the giant who had but one eye, which eye was the pineal gland, by means of which the higher ego was capable of seeing downward into the human nature, and the human ego was capable of seeing upward into Booty or the Overman. Okay, so guys, here, so this is what the analogy, guys, of the Cyclops represents here, guys. It's stimulating the pineal gland or the optic thalamus, guys, through the through the rising of the Kundalini, guys, up the spinal cord. That's actually what the Cyclops means. Okay, guys. Okay, you can't make this shit up. Okay, but continue. Um, You guys, Kundalini is more or less excited into rising as the result of the directionalization of essences moving in the Ida and Pingala. Here we have the Caduceus of Hermes. The two serpents coiled around the staff are Ida and Pingala. The central staff is Shishuma. The bulb at the upper end of the rod is Sasashara. And the wings are Ajna. You guys, and Ajna is the sixth chakra, you guys, in Sanskrit, which is the third eye. The two-petaled lotus above the bridge of the nose. Among Eastern occultists, there is some dispute as to whether the pineal gland is actually the thousand-petaled lotus. Some affirm that it is, others that there is a higher center in the brain to which the term would actually be applied. The 7 points, says Bradra Kanata, where the spinal accessory nerves Ida and Pingala meet with the Sushumna nerve. Each of these points is called a lotus. Say it is now in order to consider these lotuses or chakras from its lowest upward. It says in the Arushpo Nishad, okay guys, which is an Upanishad, there is a chakra in which the Kundalini attains her early youth, uttering a low, deep note, a chakra in which she attains her maturity, a chakra in which she becomes fit to marry, a chakra. Oh, okay, which she attains her maturity. A chakra which she takes a husband. These and whatever these happiness is conferred by her are all due to Agni, which is fire. You guys, and then just note how in the Bible, guys, how Saint John John the Baptist is baptized in fire. You guys, that's the fire, the serpentine fire gas. Okay, guys, of the Kundalini energy rising from the spine. Yeah, that division of yoga called pranayama is devoted to awakening Kundalini from her coils and causing her to rise upward through the chakras. Each of the five lower centers distribute one of the forms of prana, of the broken up energy of the sun. Each of these seven chakras also has a corresponding tattva or breath, emotion or condition in spiritual air. So here I'm gonna Google here, guys. So um, Namathi Hall here, guys, then breaks down each of the chakras individually. Okay, so here I'll do Mudalara chakra. I'll get you a big picture of it. Okay. Okay, so here's the Mudalara chakra right here. Okay. So first, the Mudalara, guys, is a lotus of 4 petals and letters connected with Saturn, which corresponds generally to the sacral plexus of modern science. This is a network of nerves lying in the pelvis in front of the concavity of the sacral bone. It is described in part as, quote, bright as gold with petals of the color of the bignoma indica and containing within it the quadrangular quadrangular mundane discus surrounded by 8 spheres or 8 spares, soft and yellow as the lightning. Okay. Within this discuss is disposited the procreative fluid, decorated with 4 hands and mounted on the 7-trunked elephant of Indra. In the center of the quadrangle is the triangular philoprogenitive discus. Within it, the phallus of Shiva, and fine as the string of the stalk, as the lotus plays above this phallus, is the quote charmer of universe, also known as Kundalini. As the lightning that plays in the new clouds, or as the spiral turnings of the shell, Kundalini rests over the phallus of Shiva in 3.5 circles, as does the sleeping serpent over the head of Shiva, covering with her head the entrance to the Sushumna. The goddess Dakini, with 4 arms and blood-red eyes, glorifies the 12 suns rising at the same time, but visible only to the pure-minded yogi, is also seated in the chakra. Within it is also the air of the Kandapara, which is capable of passing freely through all the members of the body. This air is described as the sovereign lord of animals and the glorious lake, 100 millions of suns. Kundalini residing in the Mudalara chakra hums like the bee inebriated with the nectar of flowers. Tattvic power of smell is associated with the chakra, and of the organs of action it controls the feet. In the apocalyptic symbolism, it is analogous to the church of Ephesus. Quote, by contemplation upon the chakra, writes Dr. Basant G. Real, the yogi obtains freedom from disease, knows the past and the future, and gains all psychic powers. Okay, so guys, the next chakra is the Svadhisvana chakra. Okay, here, I'll take this in. Okay, right here. Okay, this is the chakra here, guys. Okay, second, guys, is the Svadhisvana, a lotus of 6 petals and letters connected with Jupiter, which corresponds generally to the prostatic plexus of modern science. This plexus is continued from the lower part of the pelvic plexus. The nerves composing it are of large size and distributed over the prostatic gland, the vesicle seminalis. This chakra is described as being directly above the genitals. According to the According to the Hindu writers, it is, quote, at the root of the pendulum virile. It is red like vermilion and bright as lightning. Within this lotus is the white discus of Varuna, which is Neptune. You guys, so the white disc of Neptune, in which is the seed silvery like the autumnal moon, having a crescent on its forehead and mounted on a white creature resembling an alligator. In this chakra, also blue like a cloud, young, wearing a red sloth, is Hari, holding the four Vedas in his four hands. Okay, and also Lashkimi. Within this moon-shaped mandala or discus is also the goddess Rakini, her color blue, holding many weapons in her hands, ready to attack and wearing many ornaments and apparel. Say the old tantric writings, quote, he who can realize the discus of Varuna in his mind becomes in the moment free from individual consciousness and emerging from the darkness of folly shines like the sun. The tadic power of taste is associated with the chakra, and of the organs of action it controls the hands. In the apocalyptic symbolism, it is analogous to the church of Pergamos. And guys, the seven churches of Asia, okay, guys, in the book of Revelation are the seven chakras. Okay, by contemplation of this, writes Dr. Real, freedom from death and disease is obtained. Okay, guys, so the next chakra, guys, is the Manipura. Okay, right here. You guys, this is the sacral plexus chakra right here. Okay, the third chakra is the Manipura, which is the lotus of 10 petals and letters connected with Mars. Okay, guys, and in Mars, guys, is the fire energy, like the spiritual fire that arises, the spinal fire that comes up through the sacral plexus, and which corresponds generally with the epigastric or solar plexus of modern science in the navel. The solar plexus supplies all the viscera in the abdominal cavity. It consists of a great network of nerves and the ganglia situated behind the stomach. The semilunar ganglia of the solar plexus, two in number, one on each side, are the largest ganglia in the body. Seven plexuses are derived from the solar plexus: the phrenic plexus, the supernal plexus, the renal plexus, the spermatic plexus, and the coeliac plexus, the superior mastonetic plexuses, and the aortic plexus. This chakra is described as blue, as quote, blue like the clouds, and contains within it the triangular discus of fire and the three seeds called swastika, which lie outside of the triangle. Within this lotus, the yogi must then contemplate the four-armed god of fire, bright as the rising sun, riding on a buffalo. On his lap is Rudra, red like the vermilion and having three eyes. The body of the old red Rudra is smeared with ashes. This old Rudra is the creator and destroyer of the universe. With one hand he deals out bounty, and with another intrepidity. Within this lotus is also the four-handed black-colored goddess Lakini, who, as the devata of this digestive center, is said to be fond of animal food, and whose breasts are rudely with blood and fat which drop from her mouth. Okay, Lakini wears many ornaments, a red cloth, and is mad. That is, she symbolizes the appetites. The Tadavic power of taste is associated with this chakra. Okay, and the organs of action, it controls those of excretion. And in the apocalyptic symbolism, it is analogous to the church of Simara. By contemplation of this chakra, writes Dr. Real, a yogi is able to enter into another person's body. He attains the power of transmuting metals and of healing the sick, and then also of clairvoyance. Okay. So here, guys, the next chakra is the heart chakra, guys, the Anahata. Okay. Okay, guys, fourth is the Anahata chakra. A lotus of 12 petals and letters connecting with Venus, which corresponds generally to the cardiac plexus of modern science. This plexus is situated at the base of the heart and is divided into superficial part by lying in the concavity of the arch of the aorta and the deep part lying between the trachea and the aorta. In the Hindu books, the chakra is described as, quote, having the brightness of the red banduka flower. Within this flower is the smoke-colored hexagonal air ventricle. When this is the essence of air mounted on a black antelope, its color is smoke, and it has four hands. Within this essence is the air of Ishna, the master of the first three chakras. White as a goose, dealing without bounty and courage within its two hands. Within this lotus is the three-eyed Kalkini, bright as lightning, wearing a necklace of bones and holding in her four hands a snare and a skull. Within the per cap of this lotus, bright as millions of lightnings, is the three-eyed Shakti. Within the Shakti is a golden-covered Shiva. His head is like a full-blown lotus. According to Arthur Avalon, it is in this place that the Munis, or the saints, hear that sound which comes from without striking any two things together. You guys, which is the pulse of life. Okay, guys, the heart chakra, guys, is also the bridge chakra, guys, connecting the three base chakras, guys, which more symbolize the material sphere. You guys, and the three higher chakras, which symbolize the rational, higher spiritual sphere. Okay. You guys, so again, this heart chakra, guys, is where the sound of the pulse of life resonates through. The tactic power of smell is associated with this chakra, and the organs of action it controls, the membrane virial. In the apocalyptic symbolism, the chakra is analogous to the Church of Traithria. By contemplating this lotus, like writes Dr. Real, a yogi becomes clairvoyant and clairaudient and is able to see adepts moving in the air and gains his power of traveling at will to any part of the world by the exercise of his volition. Okay, guys, so the fifth chakra here, and guys, all these seven chakras correspond to the seven planets. Okay, guys, so here the heart chakra, guys, the sun is the fourth planet. Okay, so the sun governs the Ananata chakra. Okay, but here you see the Shuddha. Okay, this chakra would be the fifth planet. Okay, which is Venus. You guys, but the Vishuddha is a lotus of 16 petals and letters connected with Mercury. I apologize, and which corresponds generally to the Pharynad plexus of modern science. This plexus is formed by the branches of the glossopharyngeal, pneumogastric, and sympathetic nerves, which supply the muscles and mucous membrane of the pharynx. The Hindus describe the chakra as the guttural region or the smoky lotus, having within it a circular ethereal region, quote, bright as the full moon. This ether is the essence of Akasha. And you guys, Akasha in Sanskrit means pure, abstract, like space. Okay, guys? Um, which is robbed in a white and represented as mounted on a white elephant. The Succeedis say that within this ethereal region, which is represented as holding a snare, a hook, a benediction, and an intrepidity in four hands, is a five-faced, three-eyed, ten-handed Shiva wearing a tiger skin. There is also the goddess Shakini. Her color is red and she is robed in white garments. Within the pericarp of this lotus is a spotless disk of the moon, which is the vesicle pool of the final emancipation. Okay, the tattvic power of hearing is associated with this chakra, and the organs of action it controls are the mouth. In the apocalyptic symbolism, it is analogous to the church of the Sardes. By contemplating this lotus, writes Dr. Real, the whole body is purified of diseases and complaints, and yogi is able to live for 1,000 years in eternal youth. In fact, he is dead to all the outer worlds and becomes absorbed in his inner life. Okay, guys, this chakra, guys, also this is known as the throat chakra. You guys, and it said God was the word. Okay, guys, everything is vibration, and the vibration you give off, guys, comes through the throat. So this is a very important chakra. Okay, the next chakra here, guys, is the ajna. Okay, guys, this is like the pineal gland, third eye chakra right here. Okay, you see the ajna. You guys corresponds to the pineal or the optic thalamus. You guys, the sixth is the ajna, which is a lotus of two petals and letters connected with the moon, and which corresponds generally with the cavernous plexus of the brain. This plexus is located within the skull of each side of the sella tertia on the sphenoid bone, at a point somewhat below the bridge of the nose and behind the face. According to the Udaya Gita, which is a Hindu text, between the eyebrows is situated a lotus called ajna having two petals. It is silvery like the moonbeams in the place of communion of yogis. Within this cell is a six-headed goddess named Hakini, the color of moonbeams. She holds in her four handbooks, a skull, a musical instrument, and a rosary. According to the commentary, in this chakra is situated the mind, and it is percapped in the inverted triangle or yoni, and the phallus of Shiva called Itriya Linga. This symbol of Shiva is, quote, bright as electricity. By it, it is illumined that the minds of men, and it is the primordial symbol of the Vedas, also, guys, which is Om. At the extremity of the cell is a little above the eyebrows is the seat of the intellect. Above the intellect is a crescent, above which is a dot, and near the dot is a Shiva bright as the moon. The seat of the universal infinite spirit, knower and seer of all, is in the brain. Over here. You guys, at the mouth of the Sushumna nerve where the two brains meet, and over the Brahmins keep a long braid of hair. According to the disciples, and yogi must carry his intellect to that point where his luminosity excels the sun, the moon, and the fire. The sun, the moon, and the fire here represent the scent Pingala, Ida, and Sushumna, which have converged. The ajna shines with the glory of dhyana, okay, guys, which is meditation. The tattvic power or quality of this thought is associated. The quality of thought, guys, is associated with this chakra, and of the organs of action, it is occasionally identified with the mind. In the apocalyptic symbolism, guys, it is analogous. Okay, to the Church of Philadelphia. Okay, by contemplation of this chakra, writes Dr. Reel, a yogi gains the wonderful powers. This chakra is called the plexus of command. Okay, guys, and the final chakra here is the Sahasrara. Okay, oh, spelled that wrong. Okay, this is the crown chakra right here. Okay. Okay, guys, the crown chakra, guys, is a lotus of 1,000 petals and connected to the sun. It is very difficult to associate the chakra with any part or organ known to Western science. Some writers have attempted to identify it with the pineal gland, others with the higher brain ventricles, and others still with nerve centers in the upper brain of the cerebral hemispheres. The Shat Chakra Nirupana describes the Shashara crown chakra, guys, as a lotus of 1,000 petals, either in or pertaining to the nature of a vacuum. This lotus is lustrous and whiter than the full moon, and it has the head turned downward. A great effulgency pervades this lotus. Within this effulgence is a triangle bright as electricity, wherein is a very secret vacuum adorned by the immortals. In this vacant place dwells the great Shiva, whose form is Akashic, and who is the destroyer of ignorance and illusion. There is a phase of the moon in the chakra like the rosient sun of the morning, possessed of 16 attributes, and as fine as the 100th part of the string of stalk of the lotus. Within this phase of the moon is another phase called nirvana, as bright as the 1,000th part of the human hair, and as luminous as 12 suns. Its form and crescent-like and luminosity is not always visible. It appears and disappears from time. Within this dwells the force called nirvana, whose effulgence transcends tens of millions of suns. She is as fine as the 10 millionth part of the human hair. She is the mother of the three universes, and from her incessantly flowing this nectar of life. It is within this nirvanic force, according to the Tantrics, that Shiva is seated, who is pure and eternal and accessible to deep meditation. Both a tattvic power and organ of action for the chakra to the spiritual and beyond analysis. In the apocalyptic symbolism, it is analogous to the Church of Ladia, when by disciples of Yoga Kundalini reach this point, the adept is said to be in seedless samadhi, by which he gets in tune with the infinite and is freed from rebirth. The passage of Kundalini upward towards the Sahasrara is marked by a gentle warmth. As it rises, the lower part of the body becomes cold, and only the crown of the head retains warmth and pulse. This condition is also accompanied by other phenomena, but woe to the unhappy mortal who raises the Kundalini prematurely to the brain. The sting of the fiery serpent is most deadly, as those who have witnessed the result of her being raised before her time. She will burn away to the brain and destroy the irrational qualities of the mind. Thus, the spiritual twisting force is not only an illuminating agent, but like the serpent, which it is the symbol, can provide a deadly poison. Hints of Eastern occultism are constantly being brought to the Western world, but it is in too many cases disaster has resulted because there are charlatans all over the internet. When esoteric knowledge or doctrine is committed to individuals incapable of understanding and rightly using it, the forces generated by such discipline are almost certain to result in tragedy. The warning cannot be too strongly emphasized, but while the study of yoga and tantric doctrines will acquaint the student with many useful secrets concerning the mysteries of nature and to the constitution of man, the practices of these cults should be limited to those who have identified themselves utterly with East Indian systems of living and thought and who have placed themselves under the instruction of properly qualified East Indian teacher. It is well that all should know the theories of occultism, but woe to the foolish mortals who attempt occult esoteric practices without proper preparation, instruction, and guidance. Okay, disciples of the mysteries have been warned for centuries not to attempt the development of chakras of the sympathetic cord according to the Hatha Yoga. These chakras are closely connected with the illusional world. The real plexuses, which are disciple of the higher knowledge, strive to unfold the true soul ganglia, which in the brain, the master chakras, the body is a negative pole, and its own positive parts are contained within the cranial cavity. As the body is controlled by the brain, so the enlightened neophyte should work within the brain, avoiding the negative poles of the brain centers located along the spine. Proper development of the seven brain discs, or spiritual interpreting globes, result in the awakening of the spinal flowers by an indirect process. Beware of the direct process of concentrating upon or directionalizing the internal breath towards the spinal centers. The breath of the Raja Yoga is not in air or moving in the body, but is in the will itself. Okay, so I just want to show you do something here, guys. I gotta get going. Someone's here. Okay, Hunter, my girlfriend is showing up. She's calling me. Okay, guys, here's just guys a Bible code, guys. 144,000 chakras. Here's a great diagram of it here. You see, guys, and the 144,000 is also 9, which is the number of man. So you see here, guys, this is about transcending vices to virtues and letting the Kundalini energy rise. That's all for this on YouTube. Peace and love, and Namnas.